Hello guys and welcome to my channel. Today we will talk about Ayla, the demon of bad weather. If you are not already subscribed, please do it. It would help me very much. Thank you and let's begin. An Ayla or Hala is a female mythological creature recorded in the folklore of Bulgarians, Macedonians, and Serbs. Ayla are considered demons of bad weather whose main purpose is to lead hail-producing thunderclouds in the direction of fields, vineyards, or orchards to destroy the crops, or loot and take them away. Extremely voracious, Ayla particularly like to eat children, though their gluttony is not limited to earth. It is believed they sometimes try devouring the sun or the moon, causing eclipses, and that it would mean the end of the world should they succeed. When people encounter an Ayla, their mental or physical health or even life are in peril. However, her favor can be gained by approaching her with respect and trust. Being in a good relationship with an Ayla is very beneficial, because she makes her favorites rich and saves their lives in times of trouble. The appearance of an Ayla is diversely and often vaguely described in folklore. A given Ayla may look like a black wind, a gigantic creature of indistinct form, a huge-mouthed, human-like or snake-like monster, a female dragon, or a raven. An Ayla may also assume various human or animal shapes and can even possess a person's body. It is believed that the diversity of appearances described is due to the Aylas being a synthesis of a Slavic demon of bad weather and a similar demon of the Central Balkans pre-Slavic population. In folk tales with a human-like Ayla, her personality is similar to that of the Russian Baba Yaga. Ayla are said to live in the clouds, or in a lake, spring, hidden remote place, forest, inhospitable mountain, cave, or gigantic tree. While Ayla are usually hostile towards humans, they do have other powerful enemies that can defeat them, like dragons. In Christianized tales, Saint Elijah takes the dragon's role, but in some cases the saint and the dragons fight Ayla together. Eagles are also regarded as defenders against Ayla, chasing them away from fields and thus preventing them from bringing hail clouds overhead. While some mythological beings are common to all Slavic ethnic groups, Ayla seem to be exclusive to Bulgarian, Macedonian, and Serb folklore. Even so, other Slavic groups also had demons of bad weather. Among East Slavs, this witch was called Baba Yaga, and was imagined as a woman of gigantic stature with a big nose, iron teeth, and protruding chin. It was believed that she ate children, and her presence brought thunderstorms and cold weather. The term Baba is present in customs, beliefs, and toponyms of all Slavic groups, usually as a personification of wind, darkness, and rain. This leads some scholars to believe there was a Proto-Slavic divinity or demon called Baba associated with bad weather. Traces of beliefs in that demon are preserved among South Slavs in expressions for the bad weather common in early spring. Brought to the Balkans from the ancient homeland, these beliefs combined with those of the native populations, eventually developing into the personage of the Ayla. The pre-Slavic Balkan source of the Ayla is related to the Vilva, female demons of bad weather of the Romanians of the Timok Valley, who, like Ayla, led hail clouds over crops to ruin them and uprooted trees. A Greek female demon, Lamia, might also have contributed in the development of the Ayla. Just like Ayla, she eats children and is called gluttonous. In southern Serbia and North Macedonia, Lamja, a word derived from Lamia, is also a synonym for Ayla. The Bulgarian Lamia has remained a creature distinct from the Ayla, but shares many similarities with her. The numerous variations in form of Ayla, ranging from the animal and half-animal to the human-like concepts, tell us that beliefs in these demons were not uniform. Dragon or serpent-like demon connected with the wind, and thunderstorm and hail clouds. It was believed in the Gruza region of central Serbia that the Ayla is invisible, but that she can be heard. Her powerful hissing resonated in front of the dark hail clouds. In Bulgaria, farmers saw a horrible Ayla with huge wings and sword-like thick tail in the contours of a dark cloud. When an Ayla cloud overtook the village, villagers peered into the sky hoping to see an imperial eagle emerging there. They believed that the mighty bird with a cross on its back could banish the Ayla cloud from the fields. In eastern Bulgaria, Ayla appeared not in clouds, but in gales and whirlwinds. In other regions of Bulgaria, the Ayla was seen either as a bull with huge horns, a black cloud, dark fog, or a snake-like monster with 6 wings and 12 tails. The Ayla is thought to inhabit remote mountain areas or caves, in which she keeps bad weather. In Bulgarian tradition, thunderstorms and hail clouds were interpreted as a battle between the good dragon or eagle and the evil Ayla. Serbs in Kosovo believed that the Allah lowers her tail to the ground and hides her head in the clouds. Anyone who saw her head became instantly insane. In a high relief carved above a window of the Visoki Dekani Monastery's church, an eagle clutches a snake like Allah while an eaglet looks on. According to a description from eastern Serbia, the Allah is a very large creature, with a snake's body and a horse's head. A very common opinion is that the Allah is the sister of the dragon, and looks more or less like him. In a spell from eastern Serbia, the Allah is described as a three-headed snake. By a description recorded in the Boljevac region, the Allah is a black and horrible creature in the form of wind. Similarly, in the Homolja region of eastern Serbia, the people imagine the Allah as a black wind moving over the land. Wherever she goes, a whirlwind blows, turning like a drill, and those who get exposed to the whirlwind go mad. In Bulgaria, too, the Allah is a violent wind that sweeps up everything in its way and brings havoc. A belief from the Leskovac region states the Allah is a monster with an enormous mouth who holds in her hand a big wooden spoon, with which she grabs and devours everything that gets in her way. One story has it that a man kept such an Allah in his barn. She drank 30 liters of milk every day. Another warns that ale in the form of 12 ravens used to take the crops from vineyards. In eastern Serbia, it was believed that ale who interact with people can metamorphose into humans or animals, after which their true selves can be seen only by so-called cestesi, men with 6 fingers on both hands and 6 toes on both feet, though human-looking ale cause houses to shake when they enter. By a belief recorded in the Homolj region, ale that charge to the moon also display shape-shifting abilities. They repeatedly shift from their basic shape of 2-headed snakes to 6-fingered men who hold iron pitchforks, black young bulls, big boars or black wolves, and back. Ale primarily destroy crops in fields, vineyards, and orchards by leading hailstorm clouds overhead, usually during the first half of the summer when grain crops ripen. Ale are also believed to drink the crops or seize the crops of a village and transport them to another place in their huge ears, thereby making some villages poor and others rich. This was held as the reason why the Aleksandrovac region in central Serbia was so fruitful. It was where ale transported their loot. The people of Balkanic mountain believed the local Allah defended the crops of the area from other ale. If hail destroyed the crops, it was thought that an Allah from another area had defeated the local Allah and drunk the crops. Ale can also spread themselves over fields and thwart the ripening of the crops, or worse, consume the field's fertility and drink the milk from sheep, especially when it thunders. Ale also possess great strength. When a storm uprooted trees, the people believed that an Allah had done it. This resulted in a saying for a very strong man, Jak Kao Allah, as strong as an Allah. At the sight of hail and thunderstorm clouds, the Allah that leads them, people did not just sit and wait, they resorted to magic. In the Pomoravlja region, this magic was assisted by Allah's herbs, picked in levees and the places on a field where a plow turns around during plowing. These locations were considered unclean because ale visited them. In folk spells of eastern Serbia, a particular Allah could be addressed by a female personal name, Smiljana, Kalina, Magdalena, Dobrika, Dragija, Zagorka, etc. An expression for addressing an Allah mate palatinke is of uncertain meaning. One of the spells that was used upon sighting hail clouds, and which explicitly mentioned an Allah, was shouted in the direction of the clouds. As several other supernatural entities were also held responsible for bringing hail and torrential rains when the entity is not explicitly named, it is often impossible to conclude to which the magical measures apply. There was, for example, a custom used when the approach of a thunderstorm was perceived, to bring a table in front of the house and to put bread, salt, a knife with a black sheath, and an axe with its edge directed skywards on the table. By another custom, a fireplace trivet with its legs directed skywards, knives, forks, and the stub of the slava candle were put on the table. Another characteristic attributed to the Allah is extreme voracity. In the Leskovac region, she was imagined as a monster, with a huge mouth and a wooden spoon in her hand, with which she grabbed and devoured whatever came her way. According to a widely spread tradition, Ale used to seize children and devour them in her dwelling, which was full of children's bones and spilt blood. Less often, they attacked and ate adults. They were able to find a hidden human by smell. People in eastern and southern Serbia believed that Ale, in their voracity, attacked the sun and the moon. They gradually ate more and more of those celestial bodies, thereby causing an eclipse. During an eclipse, The sun turned red because it was covered with its own blood as a result of the ale's bites. When it shone brightly again, that meant it had defeated the ale. The spots on the moon were seen as scars from the ale's bites. While ale devoured the sun or the moon, many elderly people became depressed and even wept in fear. If ale succeeded in devouring the sun, the world would end. To prevent that, men shot their guns toward the eclipse or rang bells, and women cast spells incessantly. There was a notion in the Homolj region that, if Ale succeeded in devouring the moon, the sun would die from sorrow, and darkness would overwhelm the world. Ale were believed to be able to make men insane. In eastern Serbia there is a special term for such a man, alosan. When people encountered an ala on a road or field, they could get dangerous diseases from her. Ale are also responsible for dogs' rabies, although indirectly. A skylark that reaches the clouds and encounters an ala there goes mad, plunges to the ground, and so kills itself. A dog that finds and eats the bird goes mad too. Traversing a crossroads at night was considered dangerous because it was the place and time of the ala's supper. The unfortunate person who stepped on an ala's table could become blind, deaf, or lame. Ale gather at night on the eves of greater holidays, divert men from their ways into gullies, and torture them there by riding them like horses. Ale can sneak into humans, gaining a human form while retaining their own properties. A tradition has it that an ala sneaked into Saint Simeon, which made him voracious, but Saint Sava took her out of him. In a tale recorded in eastern Serbia and Bulgaria, a farmer killed an ala who possessed a skinny man living in a distant village because the ala destroyed his vineyard. In another story, an ala gets into a deceased princess and devours the soldiers on watch. A human going into an ala's house, which is frequently deep in a forest but may also be in the clouds, in a lake, spring, cave, gigantic tree, or other hidden remote place, or on an inhospitable mountain, too can have varied consequences. If he approaches the ala with an appeal, and does not mention the differences between her and humans, he will be rewarded. Otherwise, he will be cruelly punished. According to one story, a stepdaughter, driven away from home by her stepmother, comes to an ala's house, addresses her with the word mother, picks lice from the ala's hair full of worms, and feeds the ala's livestock of owls, wolves, badgers, and other wild animals, behaving and talking as if these things are quite normal to her, and is rewarded by the ala with a chest filled with gold. When the stepmother's daughter comes to the ala's house, she does the opposite, and the ala punishes her and her mother by sending them a chest of snakes, which blind them. In another example, when a prince asks an ala for her daughter's hand, she saves him from other ale and helps him get married. But when a girl to whom an ala is the godmother visits the ala with her mother, the ala eats them both because the mother talked about the strange things in her house. That even a dead ala is bad is seen in the legend explaining the origin of the golubats fly, a species of blood-sucking black fly that can be lethal to livestock. The legend, recorded in the Požarevac district in the 19th century by Vuk Karadzic, tells how a Serbian man, after a chase, caught and wounded an ala, but she broke away and fled into a cave near Golubac, a town in the district, where she died of the wounds. Ever since, her body has bred the golubats flies, and in late spring they fly out of the cave in a big swarm spreading as far as Sumadija. People walled up the cave's opening once, but when the time came for the flies to swarm, the wall shattered. In Serbia, men believed to possess properties of an ala were called aloviti men, and they were given several explanations. An ala may have sneaked into them. These were recognized by their veracity, because the ala, in order to satisfy her excessive hunger, drove them to eat incessantly. They may also have survived an ala blowing on them. An ala's breath is usually lethal to humans. These people would then become exceptionally strong. Alternatively, they could be the offspring of an ala and a woman, or could have been born covered with the caul. It was believed that aloviti men could not be killed with a gun or arrow, unless gold or silver was used. Like ale, aloviti men led hail-producing and thunderstorm clouds. When the skies darkened, such a man would fall into a trance, and his spirit would fly out of his body toward the clouds as if his spirit were an ala herself. There was, however, a significant difference. He never led the clouds over the fields of his own village. The damage was done to the neighboring villages. In this respect, aloviti men are equivalent to Zduhachi. Besides leading clouds away, an aloviti man could also fight against ale to protect his village. Children, too, could be aloviti, and they fought Ale using plow beams. In these fights, they were helped by the Aesculapian snake, and for this reason people would not hurt these snakes. There is a story about an Aloviti man who is described as unusually tall, thin, bony-faced, and with a long beard and mustache. When the weather was nice, he worked and behaved like the other people in his village, but as soon as the dark clouds covered the sky, he used to close himself in his house, put blinds on the windows, and remain alone and in a trance as long as the bad weather and thunder lasted. Historical persons believed to be Aloviti men are Stefan Nemanja and Stefan Dekanski. Don't forget to like and comment, subscribe for more.